me up in the scripts, I read it different now. I see the gospel as militant, I see the mission now. Find righteous from the 12 tribes victim, that's my inner circle. We got bylaws like every 6 days, you best be making curfew. See, we want goons that'll cut you if you touch us. Ain't no rabbis, ain't no masters. We got OGs and we got brothers, but our weapons, they ain't carnal. We are sheep amongst wolves. The warrior in my voice is a shadow of things to come. Days without eating to beat and strengthen that inner man. We don't over, man, we understand. Yeah, that's the spirit, man. When we speaking, you hear it, man. Light work, darkness can't comprehend, so they hate cause they fear it, man. See, they the children of the ones who killed the prophets, so we count it all for joy, cause it's a sign that we will profit. At the end, when the Son of Man comes again, I pray I'm found worthy and working and part of his battle plans. I got 12 tribes behind me. 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 12, 12, 12. I got 12 tribes behind me. 12, 12. I got 12 tribes behind me. I'm seeking able men, such that fear a higher, that walk in truth and hate a hater, cause they fear a higher. I told y'all niggas years ago, I'm waking goons up. Can these dry bones live? We waking tombs up. I'm with the Bible gang, we throwing sets up. Real Judah, straight shooters, you get wet up. Your choice, baptism or the Nina. With one voice, we give that living Aquafina. I know Judas, that was brothers, they was hating on the low. Know my final destination, and can't everybody go higher. Got the game on like it's something like a figure four. Cross me, hello, they know, like shouting low. Higher, he kicked the tribe out, call him the tribe of Dan, and got some replacement killers, Manasseh and Ephraim. Don't get that bruise slap, I be speaking brew facts. I swing with the scripture, but I can hit you, leave you blue black. Playing both sides, bisexual Hebrews. You can't eat with devils and come and eat with me too. I got 12 tribes behind me. 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 12, 12. Oh, yeah. I got 12 tribes behind me.
You got Chanel in the building, Aaron in the building, Esther in the building, Nicole in the building, Juwan in the building. Yeah. Welcome to the Hebrew state of being. We are your humble servants and hosts for tonight. I am Kayel, and my sister Tamar is in the building to read these scriptures tonight. So, man, you know, a lot's going on. Last week, the Most High put it on my spirit that it's time that we go again into the law. My brother Yuan knows that we have already gone through the book of Leviticus. We probably did it about a year ago, maybe a year and a half at the most, right? But as the title of this show is tonight, of course, it's our Monday Hebrew State of Being show, which is always titled, What is a Hebrew? Well, the topic for tonight is the law, a deep dive on Leviticus. Now, the reason why it's so important that we know the law right now. Hey, Kim, I see you in the building. Oh, praises. So glad you're in the building. The reason why we need to understand what the law is right now, because that's how we know what sin is. That's really the most important reason why we want to take a look at the book of Leviticus, because it explains what sin is. I know a lot of us have ideas, a lot of us have heard things, a lot of us have had great sermons about sin, but it's pretty laid out clearly what sin is. It is the transgressions of the law. So Leviticus is the law. Now, why is that important right now in this hour? Well, because there is no law in this hour. I don't know if you are paying attention to world matters, but internationally, we are rolling into a lawless society. I'm not being hyperbolic. What I'm explaining to you is that on October 16th, the Pope gave over the law of the Vatican to the United Nations and urged other nations to do so as well. In between that time of October 16th, the United States has had its election. We understand the contention involved in that, but we also understand that a way for that person to not leave the office is if actually we're in a state of war. Taking that understanding, we also know and have gone through very painstakingly the move by the Sanhedrin Council to bring about the Abrahamic laws, or as we have called them, and what they originally were, the Noahide laws. The reason we're talking law in this hour is because international war is about to be at hand, and the law of the land is going to be the UN. The UN has agreed to have the Abrahamic laws, or the Noahide laws, which were put in by the Council of the Ashkenazi Russian Jews and has been signed into act on Education Day by every president since the original George Bush. That's including Obama. We are going into the law because as we are going to be in a lawless time, we need to know the law of all time. As we are going into a lawless time, we need to know the law of timelessness, which is the Most High's law. There have been things that have been taken away, and there are things that have been since the beginning of time, and then there's things that are now because of Yasha and the testimony that we have of Yasha. So it's important to have a refresher on what the law is, as Kim, as you do with continuing education for accounting, as Scott does for his dental practice, right? Hayes Dental in the building. So as all of us that are professionals, whether you are a Juris Doctorate, you have continuing education in your craft, in your profession. Well, Hebrews, our profession is the Most High, and it is His laws. So this is a continuing education on our lifestyle that we should be leading. Remember, this is not a religion. We ain't converting and we ain't asking for your tithes. That disqualifies us, and we also don't get tax write-off. So that this also is the third disqualification that makes us a non-religion entity and a non-cult, because we don't have a compound for, whatever, right? So this means that we are commandment keepers, and that we are followers of the testimony of Yasha, and that we are believers in the Most High. So with that understanding tonight, we are going to do a deep dive. But first, we are going to let you see the lawlessness of this world. We are going to take 2 news clippings so that you understand how important, because I can just speak on it, I can ram it into your head, I can reference it, but allow the world to show you what is happening in this hour. So we can be clear on why our law is so important to know, because their law is not for us. Never has been, never will be. Whoa, so why did you do that? It got rid of my screen, huh? I gotta add one, guys. Hold up. I gotta add a source. It played me. There we go.
TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel and the United Arab Emirates have officially opened the gateways for civilian travel between the two countries. After 2.5 years of incarceration in an Iranian jail over false accusations of espionage, British-Australian academic Kylie Moore Gilbert lands in Canberra. A trial has commenced in the Belgian city of Antwerpen for an Iranian diplomat and 3 other Iranians over an attempted bombing attack in France in 2018. A little over 2.5 months after Israel and the United Arab Emirates signed the historic Abraham Peace Accords under U.S. auspices, the two countries have now opened their gateways for civilian travel. The first to seize the fruits of the newly opened flight route, the Emirati Fly Dubai airline, touched down in Israel's Tel Aviv International Airport yesterday, where a special ceremony was held for the first of many trips. In attendance, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised the historic moment as pivotal for the future relations between the two Middle Eastern countries.
This is a moment of history because this is the first commercial flight between Dubai and Israel. There'll be many more going both directions, but you can only be first once. And this is a pivotal moment because we're changing history. It's not that we're marching forward, we're flying with breakneck speed into a new era that is now clearly changing the Middle East, changing the future of our peoples. They've embraced it with unbelievable enthusiasm.
Citizens of the United Arab Emirates and Israel are now able to visit each other's country without applying for a visa before traveling. The move expects to serve business leaders from both countries as Jerusalem and Dubai seek to deepen cooperation in all sectors of mutual benefit.
There's a lot for us to do here. I wanted to relax, go to the Dead Sea, but I barely have time for that. So they're keeping me busy, and I will be visiting this country probably once every month or maybe twice every month and a half. So we'll see. Whenever I get a chance, I'll be here at least every 3-4 weeks.
We are very excited to be in Tel Aviv as a first, trip or first flight. And I think we will be doing it on a regular basis. I hope so. And let's see what adventure we see here in the country.
Turning to Australia, where after 2.5 years of incarceration in an Iranian jail over a false accusation of espionage, British-Australian academic Kylie Moore Gilbert landed in Canberra early this morning. Moore Gilbert was detained in Iran in 2018 and sentenced to 10 years in prison on espionage charges because her partner happened to be an Israeli national.
تاریخ سپتامبر 2018 اومدم ایران 2 سال و 3 ماه پیش.
Following extensive negotiations between Canberra authorities and Tehran, Australia managed to secure Moore Gilbert's release in exchange for 3 members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard who had been detained in Thailand over plotting to bomb Israeli diplomatic missions. Announcing her release, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison declared it to be a miracle after diligently praying for her return.
We kept up the hope, we kept up the prayers too. And as I said on morning television this morning, I've always believed in miracles, and I'm just thankful for this one as well.
Well, Moore Gilbert, a specialist in Middle East politics at the University of Melbourne, was successfully released from wrongful detention in the Islamic Republic of Iran over allegedly spying for Israel. There are many more foreign nationals who continue.
1 second, guys. How many times you gonna say it, sister? I heard you. I got you. I mean, it's clear that's not the right
Going
word.
work to preserve the 2015 nuclear agreement with Iran for mid-December. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomes the re-election of Muslim lawmaker, number of regime-run. Iran's chief nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, was buried outside Imamzadeh Saleh Mosque in Tehran this morning after unknown assailants gunned him down while he was driving his vehicle on Friday. According to a number of regime-run news agencies, a car laden with explosives detonated next to Fakhrizadeh's own vehicle, after which a remotely controlled machine gun opened fire and mortally wounded the Islamic Republic's top scientist, who was accompanied by a number of bodyguards in Absal city, located in Tehran province. While the perpetrators of the targeted killing remain at large, the Islamic Republic was quick to point a blaming finger at the Jewish state. Iranian Foreign Minister Muhammad Javad Zarif published a statement on his Twitter account following the attack, in which he wrote, quote, "Terrorists murdered an eminent Iranian scientist today. This cowardice, with serious indications of Israeli role, shows desperate warmongering of perpetrators." He went on to call on the international community, and especially the European Union, to end what he claimed to be their shameful double standards and demanded an official condemnation. It is important to know that while Iran had not provided any evidence of Israeli responsibility, it seemingly relies on a statement made by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who revealed on the 30th of April 2018 classified Iranian documents that unveiled Mohsen Fakhrizadeh's direct involvement in leading a covert development of military.
Look like he's on The Price is Right, the way he unveils it, like he didn't just unveil some big secret of that everybody already know. Iranian have been a part of a nuclear treaty to bring it down, and then they announced that they were going to raise it up. So that they killed, the Israelis killed the scientists they just spoke of, and then they killed another leader today, which we'll get to. But not, this is the prime minister of Israeli taking responsibility for the killings. And this is him presenting his case saying, hey, this is all of the evidence that we have of why we should go in and why nobody should have a problem with the fact that we went in and killed and assassinated these people because we did this for the world. At the same time, because Iranians are Islamic, at the same time, opening an airport with the UAE, which is also Islamic, but yet they are pushing out the Palestinians who are also Islamic, that are the original inhabitants of that land. So what law is it? You rocking with the Islam? You're not rocking with Islam? Whose law are they going by? It gets better.
Projects for Tehran's nuclear program.
So Iran devised a plan to do two things. First, to preserve the nuclear know-how from Project Ahmad, and second, to further develop its nuclear weapons-related capabilities. That plan came directly from Iran's top leadership. This is following the new directive of Iran's Minister of Defense, Mr. Shamkhani. Today is the director of the National Security Council. Following the new directive of Iran's Minister of Defense, the work would be split into two parts, covert and overt. A key part of the plan was to form new organizations to continue the work. This is how Dr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, head of Project Ahmad, put it. Remember that name, Fakhrizadeh. So here's his directive, it's right here. And he says, the general aim is to announce the closure of Project Ahmad, but then he adds, special activities, you know what that is, special activities will be carried out under the title of scientific know-how developments. And in fact, this is exactly what Iran proceeded to do. It continued this work in a series of organizations over the years. And today, in 2010, 2018, this work is carried out by Sapand. That's an organization inside Iran's defense ministry. And you will not be surprised to hear that Sapan is led by the same person who led Project Ahmad, Dr. Fakhrizadeh, and also, not coincidentally, many of Sapan's key personnel worked under Fakhrizadeh on Project Ahmad. So this atomic archive clearly shows that Iran planned at the highest levels to continue work related to nuclear weapons under different guises and using the same personnel.
And while the subject of responsibility remains in question, Iranian regime supporters are evidently not in need of any evidence to convince them of Israel's direct involvement.
So you see the American flag.
One of the protest leaders proclaimed the assassination of Fakhrizadeh to be grounds for suspending all inspections of Iran's nuclear installations, claiming inspectors of the International Atomic Energy Agency to be Israeli collaborators. The man this protester referred to is presumably Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, who continues to lobby Tehran's partial compliance to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, which is the technical term for the 2015 nuclear agreement. Speaking at the weekly cabinet meeting, President Rouhani claimed, however, that the assassination of Tehran's top nuclear scientist, in fact, projects growing anxiety among enemies of the Islamic Republic in light of a projected shift of power in Washington, D.C.
So you say, wait, the Iranians said the reason why the Israelis killed their top nuclear scientists after midnight, you said it's because they were going to continue on with their atomic bomb research. But no, the Iranians say because of our influence in America. Whoa. What does he mean by their influence in America? So I want y'all to be clear that there are many factions fighting to be the new law in America. I know that may sound crazy. You're like, hold up, Kayel, what are you talking about? There's the United States government. We're patriots. This is our country. This is the only law we go by the law of this land. Well, you have many Muslim politicians that are being sponsored by Muslim countries. Well, you don't believe me? Well, that's what the leader of Iran just said to you. Because of their influence in the United States government, that Israelis took a shot. Well, let's go and finish, see what he has to say.
این ترور وحشیانه نشون میده که دشمنان ما در هفته‌های پر اضطرابی هستند. هفته‌هایی که احساس میکنند دوران فشار اونها داره کم میشه، شرایط جهانی داره تغییر میکنه.
Rouhani went on to pledge Iranian reprisal at a time and place of the Islamic Republic's choosing.
همه اتاقهای فکر و همه دشمنان ایران به خوبی بدونند ملت ایران و مسئولین کشور شجاعتر از آن هستند که و غیورتر از آن هستند که این اقدام جنایتکارانه را بی پاسخ بگذارند. به موقع مناسب مسئولین مربوطه پاسخ این جنایت رو خواهند داد.
So the Iranians are saying that our enemies know that our boys is strictly about it and they won't get into it now. But don't worry, our people are going to answer this assassination in a timely and an appropriate manner. Well, you say, wait. What do we mean by time and appropriate manner? Well, hold up. If I can get this part up right here. Yeah. I'm going to fast forward in this clip so that you can get to this part. So you understand that the Turkish, the president of Turkey, who is also Islamic, he made a speech about so that's Iran, and you know, he talked about the influence, and that's why it's really hit him. And now Turkey at the top is making a speech about the Islamic influence in America.
Take place in Vienna on the 16th of December. Per the statement, the EU highlighted that participants, including representatives from France, Germany, Britain, China, Russia, and Iran, will discuss ongoing work to preserve the JCPOA and how to ensure the full and effective implementation of the agreement by all sides, including in preparation of exchanges at ministerial level. Turning to Turkey, where President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomed the re-election of Muslim lawmakers to the United States House of Representatives and vowed Ankara's continued support to further...
Whoa. So in Turkey, they had a celebration for the newly elected Muslim representatives in the House. I'll rewind that for y'all because y'all might have missed that. I'm going to just get to what the man said.
Election of Muslim lawmakers to the United States House of Representatives to ensure the full and effective implementation of the agreement by level. Turning to Turkey, where President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomed the re-election of Muslim lawmakers.
He welcomed the re-election of Muslim lawmakers
to the United States House of Representatives and vowed Ankara's continued support to further bolster Islamic influence in Washington's powerful institutions.
Geride bıraktığımız seçimlerde kongredeki Müslüman temsilcilerin tekrar seçilmiş olmalarından ötürü duyduğumuz memnuniyeti huzurlarınızda dile getirmek istiyorum. Halihazırdaki Müslüman temsilci sayısının giderek artmasını ve bu sayede Müslüman toplumun kongre ve Amerika siyasetinde daha görünür olmasını temenni ediyorum. Amerikan Müslüman toplumunun bu yönde yaptığı her türlü girişime ve projeye Türk devleti olarak bugüne kadar olduğu gibi bundan sonra da her türlü desteği vermeye hazır olduğumuzu belirtmek isterim.
Understand this web here. Understand why there is no law at hand. You think that you are in the law of the United States, but yet you have Muslim countries from Turkey to Iran that are sponsoring Muslim politicians in America. Now, we may not care about that, but it seems that though Israel had an issue with it so much that the Iranians believe that's why they killed their scientists, their nuclear scientists. Well, let's see what this guy, Steve Bannon, because they didn't stop there. They actually killed another guy today. So let's see what they...
Good evening, friends. Stephen Bannon with Israeli News Live. We have breaking news coming out of the Middle East. They're right on the border of Iraq and Syria. Yet another Iranian official, this time an Iranian Revolutionary Guard commander, targeted by a drone. No doubt Israel, once again, United States, who knows? Both these countries are preparing for a war with Iran. And we know that, as I had mentioned on Fact News Network just moments ago in another breaking news story there, that the United States President Donald Trump is at Camp David. He's been there for about a week meeting with his generals there. He's done a shakeup at the Pentagon. They are getting ready to go to war with Iran. Mossad intel that we've been getting in as well. Iran and Israel are going to go to blows very shortly. They're preparing. Now we have our good friend, Israeli journalist, sending information that Hezbollah has basically running for the hills, knowing as they're leaving their post in the Lebanon Valley, knowing that Iran has made the decision to strike. And seeing this here, another one of their officials being shot and killed, Iran has already said they would not tolerate any more hit and runs. It says here, an airstrike killed a commander of the Iran's Revolutionary Guard at the Iraq-Syria border sometime between Saturday and Sunday. Iraqi security and local militia officials said on Monday they could not confirm the identity of the commander, who they said was killed alongside 3 other men traveling in a vehicle with him. The vehicle was carrying weapons across the Iraqi border and was hit after it had entered Syrian territory, 2 Iraqi security officials separately said. Iran-backed Iraqi parliamentary groups helped retrieve the bodies, the 2 officials said, without elaborating or giving the exact time of the incident. Local military and militia sources confirmed the account, although Reuters was unable to verify independently that an Iranian commander had been killed. Anyway, I'm Steve Benoon. You're listening to Israeli News Live. Please do support.
So that's what we are. We are in a position right now that United States, your orange commander, is at Camp David with his generals plotting on how they're going to support Israel as Israel gets ready to truly bomb and really go to war with Iran. As they are opening their gates to the cousins Islams, but they look more like Esau than they do like Persians or Arabs, right? Who knows, right? So we gave you all of that because we really want you to understand where we are in this time. And that's whether it's China that comes in, or whether it's Islam, whether it comes in, America is in the midst of its fall. Babylon is falling. So we need to know what laws we need to be in line with. We need to know what the Most High wants us to do in this hour, how to follow him. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. We are starting off with Exodus chapter 19. We're going to go through that to set up Leviticus, because remember, Leviticus, etymology of Leviticus, as my sister's pulling it up, I'm going to read this to you. Leviticus, the etymology is the 3rd book of the Pentateuch of 1400s of the Latin. Leviticus, liber, literally means the book of Levites. From Greek to Leviticon, Biblion, from Leviticus, Levites, from Hebrew, Levi, properly the part of the Pentateuch dealing with the function of the priest, who were of the tribe of Levi. A portion of the tribe acted as assistants to the priest in the temple worship. The Hebrew title of the Torah, Kaham, literally the law of priests. So Leviticus is the law of priests. Well, understand that we did not have a temple until Solomon. So this priesthood is before the temple. This is coming out of Exodus, and Moses, what's the word? Enacting the priesthood through the Most High, right? So we're going to start off with the end of Exodus, because this is how the Most High is speaking unto Moshe and explaining to him how he wants to set up this priesthood for us. I'm ready when you are, sister.
The book of Exodus, chapter 19. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Mizraim, the same day came into the wilderness, and the same day came they into the wilderness of Zion.
Zion, I got Sinai.
For Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto Yahuwah, and the Most High called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob and the children of Israel, you have seen what I have did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Okay, so right here is everything. This is the covenant. This is the agreement. We were saved. The Most High showed his hand through his right hand, Yasha. He showed us, his people, his hand, as well as the Egyptians, as well as the Greeks, by putting upon these curses. So the Most High expresses this, well, really Yasha, but it's his right hand, the Most High's right hand. He is telling them, okay, now I've taken you out through Moses. He says, called unto the mountain, saying, thus shalt thou say unto the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yasharale, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians. Now, note right here in 3, the Most High separates the two houses. He says, thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yasharale. Now we know, as later in Solomon, that becomes the two houses, the Jeroboam to Rehoboam after Solomon has died, and that's where we have the rift, and the northern tribes became Ephraim or Yasharale, and the bottom tribes, the southern tribes, which was Benjamin and Judah and Levite, the book of Levites as we're going into, they congregated together and were taken in. So these two were taken into captivity in separate times and separate entities. We're dealing with the law tonight, as you can see. We're going to take it down slowly. We're only doing the first 2 chapters of Leviticus, but we want to walk through this because I think this is the most important thing that we should be understanding right now. Yes, the news is crazy. Yes, our households are going this and that. Yes, we need to provide for ourselves. Yes, all these things are crazy, but if we don't know what law we should be following, then any endeavor we do, we can fall into error if we don't know the law. So, all right, sister, on to 4, and it says the Egyptians, and how I bear you on eagle wings, and my sister go to 5.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and guard my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel.
So we're now supposed to be a kingdom of priests. When we understand the concept that we have been pushing here on Hebrew State of Being, that you are the law or you are under the law. You are of the law or under the law, meaning that you are a priest living a priestly life, and you are able to give that testimony through your lifestyle, not your words, but your actions. Prove you to be in the kingdom of priests and being of Judah, a holy nation. This is the Most High said that obviously there were other people, right? Because it said in verse 5 that you are peculiar treasure unto me above all people. So even we go back to Adam and Eve, and people have the question of, were there people on the earth when Adam and Eve was made? Yes, there were other entities here. And now even the Most High has chosen us. So when we say this book is our book, it is not for everyone. Everyone's not going to be saved. This is a reoccurring theme. Only the Antichrist has told you that he loves everyone so that you would not know the law, so that you would not know the truth, that you are a kingdom of priests and that you should be messianic and ministering his word. Continue. Oh, yeah, we switch into, Exodus 40. Yeah. verse 34.
The book of Exodus, chapter 40, beginning at verse 34. Then a cloud covered the tent of the assembly, and the glory of Yahuwah filled the tabernacle.
Filled the what?
The tabernacle. And Moshe was not able to enter into the tent of the assembly, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of Yahuwah filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not to the day that it was taken up.
Mm-hmm.
For the cloud of Yahuwah was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of the house of Israel throughout all their journeys.
So the Most High was with them, even though he showed his hand in Exodus. He brought them out and then brought them to the promised land, which eventually became Jerusalem, which eventually became the story of Jericho. But I thought it's very interesting to understand that the Holies of Holies was a tabernacle. The Most High was with us before we had a temple. When we just made tents, because we were so prayed up, because we were so following him, we were able to have him come wherever we were, a tent. So no matter where you are, you can call upon the Most High. It does not have to be a building, a church. It can be a tent. It can be under the stars and the moon, which he said is his tabernacle. So this cloud would be upon it, and the cloud was the presence of the Most High, to the point that Moses could not enter the tabernacle when the cloud was upon it. And at night, that cloud turned into a flame. Now, these the same people are being fed angel food every day. They're being fed manna. How beautiful that is to have been in the midst of something that extraordinary, something that mind-boggling, beyond man's concept, right? But yet we still sinned. Yet we were still going astray. Yet we still complained. We wanted flesh. We no longer wanted manna from the gods. Oh, Big Queen Wanda in the building, all praises. We didn't want the angel food that the Most High provided for us. We didn't want to be in commune with him. Remember, these are the same people that when the mountain first went on fire, when the cloud first set down, before they had a tent, before they had a tabernacle, the Most High told Moses and all of Israel, or Yasharale, to come up to the mountain. And our people, knowing that they were so full of iniquity, they were afraid to go. They told Moses, no, you go and come back and tell us what he said, since obviously he chose you. I bring that up to say that we don't have to have titles and pomp and circumstance. We don't have to have a congregation. We don't have to have a high priest. We don't have to have a king to call upon him. He doesn't require that for us to have the relationship to get our salvation. He does require, however, to follow his laws, statutes, and commandments. I'm going to go on to Hebrews chapter 9. So as we're walking through this 40 years that wasn't supposed to take us, how long were we supposed to be in the wilderness, sister?
It was a journey of 40 days.
40 days, but it took us 40 years because we would not follow the law that he put in. The people told Moses to go up and get the word. Moses came down with the 10 Commandments. They made a golden calf of a bull and started following the gods of Egypt because they thought that Moses got consumed by the fire when he went up. He did not. He came back with the 10 Commandments. Now, the Father in Leviticus, as we'll get to, is now instilling the law. So for the 40 years they're in the desert, the Most High is making sure that they can follow the law. See, the Most High didn't trust them to say, okay, Moses, here's the law, give everybody a Torah, and y'all go on in the land, because I know y'all gonna follow. Y'all just saw me do all of these plagues to Egypt, right? I just fed you angel food, right? My cloud was over the tent. You can't even walk past the cloud. And at night, it lit the sky up with the fire. But I know if I give you my word, I give you my Torah, that you're gonna follow the law. You can just go on into the promised land. Most High didn't, he knew we were not that well equipped to follow like we should. Unfortunately, we were killed. The adults, rather, that is, because they seemed to not get it, and they died in different ways. The ones that complained about the manna that wanted flesh, and the Most High brought all the birds around and the quail, and they dropped down there and gave them all the flesh and told Moses that he was going to plague them with this, and Moses begged them, don't eat it. Moses came out the tent and said, the Father said, look, y'all been complaining for it, but don't eat it. Moses sent 2 other prophets going to tell them, don't eat it. And they ate it anyway, and they died. This is going to be a reoccurring theme because the law, the Most High is not playing with the law. He will let you go out there. He will let you. It's called grace and mercy. He's giving you the opportunity to make your own choices. But at a point, you get consumed by that iniquity itself. Let me go on to that 9. I see the building, Keisha, yes.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9, beginning at verse 19. For when Moshe had spoken every precept to all the people according to the Torah, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the sefer and all the people, saying, this is the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah has enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And almost all things are by the Torah purged with blood. And without shedding of blood is no remission. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these. But the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. For Hamashiach is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of Yahuwah for us.
So it says that man is told and ordained to purge and clean everything of the Torah, which is the law. Everything through the Torah should be cleansed and purged through the blood. So that's why we had the sacrifices, and that's what we're going to go into in 1 and 2, that we no longer have to do, but understanding the reason why we had to do these sacrifices, because it is ordained from the heavens in order to purify and to clean us from our sins, from our iniquity. We had to do it through blood, even when it came to the land. So it says, but in the heavens was a better sacrifice than anything that we could do on this earth, better than any unblemished lamb or ox that we could possibly find, that they allowed, or the Father allowed his unblemished lamb to be the sacrifice. And that is, as it says in 24, for the Hamashiach, the anointed, is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the truth, but into heaven itself. So this sacrifice isn't to be upon man, but it is to be for heaven itself, as he will appear in the heavens unto the Most High as our testimony, as saying, hey, the people that believe in me, the people that have my testimony and walk the way that I walked, as you have told me to walk on this earth, that they're good people. The rest, though, continue.
Verse 25. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest enters into the holy place every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world. But now once in the end of the world has he appeared, to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. And as it is appointed unto men to die, but after this judgment. So Hamashiach was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin.
Without sin.
Unto salvation.
Unto what?
Unto salvation.
So it says, so the anointed was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation. Without transgressing the law. In 26 it says, for then must he often have suffered since the foundations of the world. So since all of this was created, the right hand of the Most High has been there. From the time they split the waters, from the time we go to Abraham, to Isaac, to the burning bush, to the time of Moses in the Exodus, to Elijah, to John the Baptist, to Yasha in the end. And then he's going to come back in the end for the ones that study to show thyself approved, that follow the law. Because without sin, the second time without sin, when you're talking about sin, we're talking about transgressing of the law. That is the only definition of sin, the transgressing of the law. So let's go on to Matthew 5. Another precept to that there. Drop down to 17.
The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
That's very contradictory to Catholicism, sister. Where are you reading from?
The Gospel of Matthew.
You sure?
5,
that can't be the gospel. No, that can't be a gospel.
It's not Paul.
So wait, we have an entire Catholic, a whole churches, a whole Judeo-Christian, and they say that the law is done away with because he came and brought salvation. But as we just read in Hebrews verse 28, it said he comes back the second time for salvation. So the first time
was for the remission of sin.
For the repentance and remission of sins, and to replace the Levitical priesthood with the Melchizedek order. See, these things can get mixed up if you're not really clear on why and what he came for, because he said if he did not come and leave the comforter for us, we would have been doomed. If he did not leave the Ruach HaKodesh so that we would have individual salvation.
Under grace and mercy.
Under what, sister?
Grace and mercy.
Oh, man, I love me a good cup of grace and mercy every morning. I thank for it every morning, you know what I'm saying? So just be clear on this person, that this entire idol worship has been created for. When they put him on this cross, when in Galatians chapter 3, verse 13 says that he was hung on a tree, not a cross. And then yet in the same book that they have touted as their New Testament, said that this person said that he did away with the law. But here in 5, verse 17 of their canonized book, it says, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill the law. And he read from Isaiah that spoke of salvation coming. Yeah, sister, you can continue these people, these lies.
The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the Torah, till all be fulfilled.
He's saying, actually, not one part of this law of the Torah will pass until all be fulfilled. Meaning that the Torah tells our story from beginning to end. I don't know if many people realize that this book is not just about us reading about the people in the past or just trying to connect ourselves to now. This tells the end story. You know, Revelations. Go on.
Verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of Yahuwah. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Yahuwah.
Wow, sister. So you're saying that all of the priests, because it did say here, and I know this may sound funny, you guys, but it says, whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so. That part. Teach men so. So the priest, the pastors, the evangelists, the rabbis, all of them, as he said, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. So obviously these people that are saying that salvation is their way, obviously there is no salvation their way. They're actually the least of the kingdom. Well, I guess if you're in the kingdom, it is salvation. I guess I have to pull back on that, but I don't think these people are going to make it to the kingdom. Because not only did they break one law, they broke several. There's not supposed to have any idols, so there should not be any image of Yahshua in any church, on anybody's chest, nowhere. And they teach us to do so. There should not be going to church on a Sunday, but on the Sabbath. And they teach us to do so. So much that they had the code in the water. They branded us and made us stop going on the Sabbath and went on their Sunday. So I'm pretty sure they may not have a place. They may not even make it to the lower part. Continue, sister.
Verse 20. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of Yahuwah.
I got a silly trivia question, sister. Was Paul a Pharisee?
No, Paul was a tax collector.
You sure he wasn't a Pharisee?
I believe that the Pharisees and the Sanhedrins were the one who was responsible for putting Yasha to death. I believe that Paul was a Roman citizen working for Caesar to collect taxes in Judea.
Right. Right. Absolutely right. So it says, And I just wanted to know, I don't know if the truth or not. I just pulled this up to find out. It says Paul claims to be a Pharisee in Philippians 3 and Acts 22, 2 through 5. He claims before the Sanhedrin to have been educated at the feet of Gamaliel, the elder, or Rabbi Gamaliel. I was a leading authority in the Sanhedrin in the early 1st century CE. He was the son of Simeon ben Hillel.
Oh, yeah. So,
Whoa, huh?
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he wasn't a Pharisee during the time of Yasha.
Right. Hillel and the grandson, he came afterwards because he was just a tax collector at that point. He became part of the Jewish faith once Yasha struck him down. So he got into it from that point. But let's go.
So he learned under the Talmud.
Yes. Says son of Simon ben Hillel and grandson of the great Jewish teacher Hillel the elder. Gamaliel is thought to have died in 52 CE. He fathered Simeon. So, and it says, according to the strict manner of the law of our fathers, Acts 22, verse 3, the Pharisees are known in scripture and history. So, we understand that Paul played many roles, right, in scripture. And we was having a very wonderful conversation with Brother Yakanan the other night, and he asked the question, was Paul inspired? Yes, Paul was inspired by Yasha. Inspired to do what? He was inspired to fulfill a prophecy. What prophecy did he fulfill? Say hello to your Catholic Church and the beast. See, without Paul and Paul's writings, then the Greeks, who he said he was, a apostle to the Greeks, to the Gentiles. That's Hamitic, that's black and white. That's not white, just white. Paul was half Benjamin and half Roman. So he was part Hebrew. That's why he could be a Pharisee, because he was legitimate, right? So understand that when we are looking at what it says here, for I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. So it's saying that you have to rise yourself above a scribe and a Pharisee. Your righteousness has to be your testimony. Your righteousness is your testimony. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there. Let's go on to we have Matthew. Leviticus 1. Yeah. I want to make sure I was right. Mm-hmm. So now we've broken down that the law, first of all, Yasha said he came to fulfill that law. 2, we've established that the people that teach you to break the law are the least in the kingdom, if they will make it in the kingdom at all. We've also made the point that Moses was the one that the Most High gave the law, the Torah, to, as we left out of Egypt. Now we're in Leviticus 1, where, as we, and many, brought this up before, but many may not know that Moses stuttered, and Moses did not speak the Hebrew language, that Moses used Aaron as a translator, Aaron and Miriam, as we stated in the last show, that the Most High told them that I gave you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam to lead you, right? So now in Leviticus, this is where the Most High is giving the instruction, and this is where we're going to put in the priesthood of Aaron and the Levites. But as we all understand that when Yasha came, he did away with it, because the Levitical order from the time of Moses turned into the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the other one that they had. There were 3 factions that were part of the Sanhedrin. So now we're going to go to Moses, to where we put the law in originally.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 1. And Yahuwah called on Moses and spoke unto him out of the tabernacle of the assembly, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man of you bring an offering unto Yahuwah, you shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock. If his offering be a burnt offering of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the assembly before Yahuwah, and he shall put his hand upon his head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. And he shall kill the bullock before Yahuwah, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the assembly. And he shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into his pieces. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire upon the altar, and lay down the wood in order upon the fire. And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts, the head and the fat, in order upon the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar. But his inwards and his legs shall he wash in water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar to be a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And if his offering be of flocks, namely of sheep, or of goats, for a burnt sacrifice, he shall bring it a male without blemish.
A male without blemish sounds like Yasha. Seem like this as he's bringing in this law right now, as he's bringing in this sacrifice law, he ends it with Yasha being the perfect, unblemished sacrifice. See?
Verse 11, and he shall kill it on the side of the altar northward before Yahuwah. And the priest, Aaron's son, shall sprinkle his blood round about upon the altar. And he shall cut it into pieces, and his head, and his fat, and the priest shall lay them in order on the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar. But he shall wash the inwards and the legs with water, and the priest shall bring it all and burn it upon the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire, for a sweet savor unto Yahuwah.
As we go back up here to the top, and it's a particular reason, and it says, right when he says he's going to cover the cattle, you shall bring off the cattle, you heard the flock, you shall to the door, tabernacle, congregation. All right, he shall put his hand, verse 4, and he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, not the eyes, right? So when we go here to this, we got this chart up here to show you the sacrifices. All right. So when you got the burnt offering here, you'll see when you're making a peace offering, they're covering the third eye, the pineal gland. I just thought that was quite interesting, that what they use, and as the scripture says, to put your hand over their head, not their eyes when you're going to slaughter them, but over their head. But as we are looking at the different types of offerings here, and you have to be cut, then it's filleted, as it said, and then those choice parts, right? The inwards, the fats and the inwards. Then you have the breast and the shoulder, and the remainder of the offering, which is must eat the fat, must eat. Which he must eat with his family or friends in the order of the tabernacle. So that's what the priest would do with that afterwards, right? Then your that's for your peace offering. So I just wanted to show you guys the this chart here, and as the trespass, these are the different offerings: trespass, sin, peace, meal, burnt offerings, right? That we had, and this is what's put in at the time of this of the Leviticus. So you can pull this up and on burnt offerings Leviticus, and you do the images, and you'll be able to see this chart. So again, you have your burnt offerings, your meal offerings, your peace offerings, your sin offerings, and your trespass offerings. Only ones that you'll see that we got away with was the offerings, period, right? The offerings now became us as the offering. Let me go to 13. So now we're going to Genesis 22.
The book of Genesis, chapter 22, verses 1 and 2. And it came to pass after these things that the Most High did try Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now your son, your Akid Isaac, whom you love, and get you into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell you of.
Now, at this point, Abraham had to be extremely confused because the Most High had never asked for such a thing. These were the practices of the Moloch, of the Nimrods. They were sacrificing their children. This was a common thing that they were doing in that time. So the Abraham rose up early that morning. So here in verse 2, and it says that only the son, you take now thy son, thy only son, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains. So here, why would we say a burnt offering? So here, a killing, a burn, as we look back at the chart, you create a tabernacle, you create an altar, right? And you set that on fire. And that would be the how he was supposed to actually do Isaac. And continues. And so now we're going to switch on over to verse 6.
Genesis chapter 22, verse 6. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and the knife. And they went both of them together. And Isaac spoke unto Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, the Most High will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which the Most High had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahuwah called him out of the heavens, and called unto him out of the heavens, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Here am I. And he said, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For now I know that you fear the Most High, seeing you have not withheld your son, your Akid, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place Yahuwah Yireh.
Yeah, Yahuwah. Yahuwah.
It is said to this, as it is said to this day, in the mount of Yahuwah it shall be seen.
So, how many times in our life have we gone through a situation that we were dreading, did not want to face it, may have ducked it a couple of times, may have not wanted to deal with it, may have made some really good excuses, but then when you actually had to stand up and do it, you found grace and mercy in it. Or when you had to stand up and do it, you realized, whoa, I'm glad I actually stood up to this. I learned a lesson. I really got what I needed to get. How many times have that happened in your life? Well, if you're a stand-up person and you go, everybody goes through problems in life. It's how you deal with those problems. If you have gone at them and you faced them head on, as Abraham did, because this is a problem. Abraham is living in a land where he has forsaken all of the divination. He's forsaken Egypt. He's forsaken the Molochs of Babylon. And now the Most High is coming upon him to ask him to do the same type of sacrifices as these heathens around him. It's like, I know the Most High know who I am. I mean, I know he know I've been praying when we've been talking. I mean, why would he send me to kill? And as it says here in 22:12, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. So not only is this a child or something that is important unto Abraham, a love of Abraham, but the Most High is clearly stating, I gave you the thing that you love. How many times have we in our life, when we stood up and believed in the Most High, we've walked through that fire, walked on them coals of fire? Oh, it's been such a whirlwind, and we've been so focused on the Most High that we get 5 months down the line and say, wow, whoa, that was wild. Yeah, I did go through something. Wow, but I was so focused on the Most High, and I'm just so happy to be through it right now. But yeah, that was wild, and people are telling you, man, do you remember this and then this happened? You're like, yeah, that did happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, but I had the grace and mercy. And it said before that the Most High told Moses and Yasharale, I brought you out of Egypt on my wings and brought you to me. That's what this law does for us. If we follow this law, we follow the 10 Commandments, not the offerings, because Yahshua came and cleared that away because he was the unblemished. There is no offering greater than him. Following the 10 Commandments and laws and sacrificing our old man daily, killing our old man daily, is the sacrifice that the Most High is requiring upon us in this hour. And how do you know what the old man is of you? You're still alive, right? You're still going, right? Well, that's what the law is for. The law lets us know the things that we desire. Is that of my old man or is that of the new me in the Most High? All right, so we are at verse 14. We came in that, so now we go into Leviticus chapter 1 back there. We're going to pick back up at verse 14.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 1, verse 14. And if the burnt sacrifice for his offering to Yahuwah be of fowls, then he should bring his offering of turtle doves or of young pigeons. And the priest shall bring it unto the altar in wiring of, in wiring and ringing off, and ring his and ring off his head and burn it on the altar. And the blood thereof shall be wrung out at the side of the altar. And he shall pluck away his crop with his feathers and cast it aside the altar on the east port by the place of the ashes. And he shall cleave it with the wings thereof, but shall not divide it asunder. And the priest shall burn it up upon the altar, upon the wood that is upon the fire. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire, for a sweet savor unto Yahuwah.
Now, before in other scriptures, it stated that the fats and the entrails were for the Most High, right? That was what we were to burn. And the Most High, even though we don't follow this offering, what we have kept from the offering that we're not supposed to eat blood, right? Most High said, don't eat the blood and don't eat the fat, right? That's for him. So for us out there that eat steaks, I haven't had a really good one because this is some crazy stuff going on out here in this world. We tried to go to some place and get some good steaks, but yeah, that's a whole other story, right? Point is, medium, pink in the middle. We're not supposed to have it rare. We're not supposed to have it medium, rare like I used to. I used to really like the blood flowing through the juices and everything. It was a thing. But what you understand, whether you know it or not, is that when you drink the blood of an animal, that the anger or however that animal died, it goes into your system. When they say that people that eat a lot of red meat are very aggressive, well, if you have a lot of meat that has been slaughtered in a very toxic manner, and that blood goes back into that body in a shock mode. And then once you eat it and you cook it and that blood comes out, you still have that toxins of that in it. And it does, in fact, make you more aggressive. I'll give you a testimony of that one. And it says, so when we look at these things in the way the Most High has told us to do these things, it's everything is for a specific reason. Fat is not good for our hearts. Fat is not good for our body masses, right? It doesn't, it creates many medical issues, right? So now we're gonna flip on over to Leviticus 2. Yeah.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 2. And when they will offer a meat offering unto Yahuwah, his offering shall be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it, and put frankincense thereon.
Oh, yes.
And he shall bring it to Aaron's son, the priest, and he shall take thereout his handful of the flour thereof, and of the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof. And the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar, to be an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah.
Yes.
And the remnant of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire. And if you bring an oblation of a meat offering baken in the oven, it shall be masha, cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, masha wafers anointed with oil.
That's unleavened. We need no yeast in it, and it's also symbolic of our journey out of Exodus, that we did not have enough time for the bread to rise, and it's also part of our feast of unleavened, which tells us to take the ego out of our bodies, out of our minds and our spirit. So again, here part of the Father does not want any yeast in his offerings.
Verse 4.
5, I think, yeah, 5.
And if your oblation be a meat offering, baken in a pan, it should be of fine flour unleavened, mingled with oil. You shall part it in pieces, and pour all thereon. It is a meat offering. And if your oblation be a meat offering, baken in a frying pan, it shall be made of the fine flour with oil. And you shall bring the meat offering that is made of these things unto Yahuwah. And when it is presented unto the priest, he shall bring it unto the altar. And the priest shall take them from the meat offering. And the priest shall take from the meat offering a memorial thereof, and shall burn it upon the altar. It is an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And that which is left of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offering of Yahuwah, made by fire. No meat offering which you shall bring unto Yahuwah shall be made with leaven.
No yeast.
For you shall burn no leaven, nor any honey, in any offering of Yahuwah made by fire. So that means no fried chicken.
Fried chicken is an offering, though, not as a meal. As an offering, we can't have it.
That's what I'm saying. You can't offer Most High fried chicken.
You can't offer no fried chicken.
You can't put the flour on it.
Because you exactly. And I'm glad you said that part, because I was going to go back up to it. That when we are doing our feast days, that we as a sacrifice, or as a sacrifice, we are trying to purchase the best oil that we can to cook the foods and the flour, the best flour you can. Yes, this is something that you're going to eat. And as it said that we are ordained priests. And it says here that the meats and the offering are to be given to Aaron's sons, which are the priests. See, when if we sit up here and worry about the law being done away with, then we miss the opportunity to actually do some things that the priests were doing, to actually be in commune with the Father, to actually connect with our ancestral roots. Buying on the Shabbat, making sure that you have the best oils, and consciously doing that. When you're cooking your meals on Shabbat, praying while you're washing it, praying while you're cleaning the meats, being very conscious that this is an offering unto your family, that the Father has provided this for you. So when you're cleaning it, you're thinking of it as a Levitical cleansing, as an offering. When you're choosing the oils, you're not getting the cheapest oil on the market, the canola oil or whatever, right? You are trying to get oils, especially when it's on a Shabbat, or especially when it's on a feast day, as the Most High provides for you. Go on.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 2, verse 12. As for the oblation of the first fruits, you shall offer them unto Yahuwah, but they shall not be burnt on the altar for a sweet savor.
Yeah, Ashley's a little upset about the fried chicken part too. Yeah. It says, so no meat offering which shall bring unto the Lord shall be made with leaven. So that's non-rising flour. So you can use a flour, but it won't have, it said, makes sense that I've allowed the fried chicken. Hey, you wine brother, you know how I go? And said, yeah, olive or avocado oil. I tried with that avocado oil. The avocado oil is real thick. So I'm from your boy and try the many oils to do this with. I still have not got enough money in my pockets to have me a nice supply of that peanut oil, because that's what you really, really want. You dig? But yes, so as we said, everything the Father has done, even though we are not doing actual sacrifices because we don't actually have a temple, and we have actually our truest sacrifices done for us, our everyday action, our livelihood. That's why we say this is not a religion. This is the way that you walk and the way that you live. So you're not going out to fast food restaurants. You don't want to buy fried chicken from Popeyes. Why? Because the chicken grease is most likely pork grease. It's lard. As much as I miss some Popeyes, it's got pork grease in it. So yeah, I'm upset that I can't have it, but guess what? I'm able to live longer. How about that?
Obedience over sacrifice.
Obedience over sacrifice. Yes, sister. So now we are at 12. So we're now going to Genesis chapter 4. Start that off crazy.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4, beginning at verse 3. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the first fruit of the ground an offering to Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahuwah had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
That's my soldier right there.
But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And Yahuwah said unto Cain, why are you wroth? And why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at your door. And unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him.
So many times in our society, I mean, just to make a simple example, children. You tell a child they did something wrong, and it looks like the whole world came to an end when they know they were doing something wrong. They know absolutely they doing something they got no business doing. But when you tell them to stop, they act like you just kicked them in the balls. You know what I'm saying? Like you just stole her Barbie and took the head off and burned it in front of her. That is the same thing that Cain went through. If we have to sometimes say, okay, I can do better. Is that really that hard to say, I can do better? And even if that's the case, do we have to hate our brother or sister because they're overachieving? Or because they're just doing what they're supposed to be doing? Why are we hating each other for that? Well, Cain has done it from the beginning, and this evil seed, that's what it does. The evil seed that came from Cain come from Hashatan, because as it says right here, it says, Most High, and why thou art wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou does well, then thou be accepted. There was a thing though. And when Cain, right, said, because the devil, right, first of all, Cain, when the Most High asked him about Abel, he says, am I my brother's keeper? I pause there because we are our keepers. We don't have the luxury of not, because we have been taught so many lies. So when one learns something, we must pass it on. This law is for us to be able to be that house that sits on top of the hill, to be a refuge, not just so that we can shine, but so that we can be a refuge to others that are seeking righteousness. These simple processes of the right oils, of the finest flowers, of the best meats that you can find, choosing not pork, but choosing other meats that are kosher, meats that are in Levitical order. Those things keeps you in a conscious thought of being righteousness under the Most High's laws. The Most High's laws goes through everything that we do in this world, from the time we wake up until the time we sleep. From our breathing, our eating, our interaction with others, our prayer time, and our focus. The Ten Commandments covers all of those interactions. And it says, lastly, and Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. Instead of stepping his game up, he figured, I'd just eliminate the competition. I think they call it a dog-eat-dog world, that which we live in right now. All right, so through these laws and through this, we're understanding that through the Most High's laws, we realize we don't eat swine, we don't deal with pork, and we're only dealing with Leviticus 1 and 2. We've gotten that we don't eat blood, we don't eat unclean meats, which is, pork. We only bring the sacrifices that He accepts, right? And we understand that in our whatever offerings we bring unto the Most High, we ought to bring our first fruits, our best. So when we talk about first fruits and we talk about connecting, we're connecting who we are as indigenous people. Well, let's look at this article of the green corn ceremony, right? Because, excuse me, guys. I'm supposed to go to 13. We got to wait till the next one till we get to that. Y'all got me. I'm excited about getting to this part, but just know that we're about to get into the fact that what we do, we have been doing as a community from the beginning of time to New Orleans to right now. So as we are on 14, Leviticus 13.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 2, verse 13. In every oblation of your meat offering shall you season with salt. Neither shall you suffer the salt of the covenant of your Most High to be lacking from your meat offering. With all your offering you shall offer salt. And if you offer a meat offering of your first fruits unto Yahuwah, you shall offer for the meat offering of even grain beaten out of full. I missed it. Let's get to 9. 14. And if you offer a meat offering of your first fruit of Yahuwah, you shall offer for the meat offering of your first fruits green ears of grain dried by the fire, even grain beaten out of full ears.
So very specific, right? There's a lot of corns, right? But they said specifically green corn, green ears of corn. I want y'all to take this too. Every time you eat is an offering. If you look at your body as a temple, every time you put something in your mouth, you're putting an offering into your temple. Your temple belongs unto the Most High. So whatever you're making a sacrifice, whatever goes through your body is through unto the Most High. Everything that has been spoken of in this Leviticus 1 and 2 is about how we cook. Finest meats, what meats, how to prepare them, what flours, what oils to use. All of this seems to be of how we should cook every day, because every day can be an offering to the Most High's temple, you. Yeah, my brother Aaron. Yeah, that fighter's regime. I know you on your wine. Yeah, but see, your wine got his lady in there cooking, so I don't know. Ty, I hope you got him right in there. Because the brother ain't going to turn down a plate. We know this, right? but no, seriously. I know Ty ain't cooking with no pork, so I know my brother your wine is good. but yeah, every day we have to realize that all the way down to the salt that we use, all the way down to the salt, we should be using sea salt, Himalayan salt, right? This salt, right, is the salt of the earth that the Most High speaks about. So even in flavoring our food, we are still kind of participating in this offering unto our temple. And it says in 15, and thou shalt put oil upon it and lay frankincense thereon. It is a meat offering. But let's go back to this green ears, because when we talk about connecting this Hebrew culture to our indigenous Inyan culture here, I'm not crazy when I tell y'all that we are the people, and the fact that we are Inyans proves it more than the fact of us looking in the scripture and seeing what we do every day as being the chosen people. And not to mention that the people that say they're chosen are absolute liars, and in their name they say they're Russian. So let's go to this article, because in New Orleans we celebrated and celebrate the Green Corn Festival. It says the Green Corn Ceremony is an annual ceremony practiced amongst various Native American peoples. And then this little chart right here shows us also known as American Indians, Indigenous Americans, in other terms, are the indigenous people of the United States, sometimes including Hawaii and territories of the United States, and sometimes limited to the mainland. There are 574 regularly recognized tribes, but we're not talking about them, right? Because we're talking about us in Louisiana, and we are understanding that we are understanding that when you go to our website and you go to the home, that if this computer doesn't move too slow, basically the definition of an American, or what they call a Native American, is copper-colored aboriginals that were found here by Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans, right? And we have that right here. America by the Webster Dictionary, 1828 dictionary. A native of America originally applied to the aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So now let's go back to this article when it tells us that this green corn ceremony, which we find in scripture in Leviticus, is part of our offerings for the first fruits of our green ears of corn. All right, let's go back. And it says, associated with the beginning of the yearly corn harvest, green corn is a term given to the ceremony by white traders. So we didn't call it busk, right? The white traders called it busk, the word being a corruption of the Creek word, the Creek. And where's the Creek word paskuta? Or for fast. For a fast. Who does fasting? Who does fasting? Mark 9:29. when it says that we can remove evil spirits through fasting and prayer. And it says that this green corn festival is associated with the indigenous people after a fast, meaning that we would now festival because we're now giving our first fruits, because here it says it was associated with the beginning of the yearly corn harvest. First fruits and harvest are the same thing. These ceremonies have been documented ethnographically throughout North American, eastern woodlands, and southeastern tribes. Well, guess where New Orleans is? Southeastern. This is indigenous people of the southeastern woodlands, southeastern cultures, are in ethnographic classification for Native Americans who have traditionally inhabited the area, now part of the southeastern United States. Well, when you look at this picture right here, that looks like the Indians we're talking about. That looks like us. You see, he got us all the way in the corner with a crazy looking face right here, right? But they give you all these other looks of what we would call the Mexicans, Mexicana, you know what I'm saying? Yes, but the southeastern, the Yamasee, the Creek, the Choctaw, the Chitimacha, the Homer, they look like this. All right. So then it says, historically, it involved the first fruits, right, in which the community would sacrifice the first of the green corn to ensure the rest of the crop would be successful. So the indigenous people gave the first crops that came up that they harvested in this festival as a feast unto the Most High, so that the rest of theirs would be good. So when we go back to Cain and Abel, and Cain not giving his best, killing Abel because he gave his best, and then Cain, instead of, he's get banished because he killed his own brother because he refused to give his best to ensure he had goodness. And since he didn't give his first fruit, he didn't receive goodness, and he's never going to receive goodness. He is known as the serpent seed. He's known as the evil seed, and all of his children as well. And these will be the same people that are part of the ruling class, part of the Nephilim, part of the government. These are the seeds of Cain. Cain's great-great-grandson was Juval, known as Pan. Pan was the flute god. Juval was known in history as the oldest person that created the flute. And where does he reside from? Juval? In the Europeans, in the Caucasus Mountains, where Japhet came from, Russia, the Slavonic, the Germanic people. Not us. Not us. So when we understand who we are as a people, that we can find our scripture directly connected to our culture, even when the Caucasian comes in and renames our green culture, our green corn festival that we followed as Hebrews, giving unto the Most High, and called it a busk ceremony, that has nothing to do with fasting, because they don't understand fasting. They don't understand giving up their first fruits. They're Cain. Get it? You got Abel, gives his first fruits. That's us. Cain, who kills his brother because he got first fruits. Thanksgiving just passed. They killed all the Indians. How much of a picture do we have to paint here? Let's go further. Let me. Who gonna save the human race? Who gonna save The human race. I got one more article for y'all. Who gonna save the human race? Yep. That might have been it. Oh, here's 3. There we go. I pulled up an article talking about New Orleans because New Orleans has, here we go. There it is. All right. So when we talk about New Orleans itself, right, and not enough that the green corn and these guys in Wikipedia said they came over and saw it from the northwest and the east, the southeast and the whatchamacallit, what you say, Nicola? Busk is a city in the Ukraine. Thank you, Nicola. Busk is a city in the Ukraine, so we know where we're getting this Busk thing from, right? So now when we look at directly at our city, and we're going to read this story right here. Faubourg St. John, right? So understand that the Esplanade Ridge, which we know as Bayou Road in New Orleans, right? That is the Esplanade Ridge. Oldest part of the city of New Orleans. So it says Faubourg St. John, which is the area next to Bayou St. John, next to the Esplanade Ridge. Established in 1708, is a neighborhood located just north of Broad Street at the intersection of Orleans Avenue. It is approximately 75 city blocks in area and has an average elevation of about 1 foot above sea level. Whoa! So we always was told in New Orleans that we below sea level. But right here on this ridge, meaning that they were here for a long time on that bridge, meaning that the indigenous people were there for a long time because this is above and one of the only places in New Orleans that's above sea level. Not bad when you consider about half of New Orleans is several feet under sea level. More than 40,000 residents call St. John home. One of New Orleans' finest neighborhoods, famous for trees, abundance, fine, neighborhoods, right? So the Faubourg contains a full range of residential. Let me go past that. Let me see. Range of land plus ethnic diversity. All right, so let me get here. Native American settlement. The word bayou comes from bayou, meaning minor stream in the language spoken by the Choctaw, believed to have been one of the Native American nation groups that inhabited this area before the Europeans settled there. The Native Americans called the bayou area Bauk Chapuk after the mudfish and built thatched homes near the bank. Groups of the CHOPITOULAS nation. Now remember, New Orleans was called CHOPITOULAS first because it meant people by the river. Are thought to be the first to inhabit the area. Another nation group, the Choctaw, had noted the advantages of living near this waterway and transported food and other goods on the bayou. They also traveled to the Mississippi River by way of the bayou and the path now called Bayou Road. Ultimately, a trading village was established at Bayou Chapuk and Bayou Road. Europeans' arrival. The French were looking for shorter routes from the Gulf of Mexico to the Mississippi River in 1699. Some of the Choctaws showed them various routes, including where Bayou Road met the river. The French decided to build a city at that site, the present-day French Quarter. So on the way, LaShawn, I see you in the building. So as we understand that who we were as a people, in our scripture, in Leviticus 13 and 14, it is telling us that we had a green corn festival. That this was our first fruits, was our green corn, was our first fruits that we gave up to the Most High. One of our first offerings. And then we can go to Wikipedia and see that this green corn ceremony was recorded by the first Europeans to come here, and that they said it was attributed to the southeastern woodland tribes and Mississippi. as well as the eastern woodlands as well. But mostly in the southeastern woodlands, means Louisiana to Florida would be southeastern. Then we go directly to New Orleans, and we see that there was, in fact, a ceremony done at Bayou Road, which was the trading place, which was the place that we did our Green Corn Festival. Right there, Bayou St. John is where we did our Green Corn Festival in New Orleans. Now, the Green Corn Festival in Bayou Road, we all know, Treme is right there. Treme is less than a mile away from Bayou Road. We know the first Inyan, right? Beke was in Treme. So you're telling me that Beke, right? I'm sorry. Beccat, Beket did not know anything about the Indians from less than a mile away. That was a trading post that we had our Green Corn Festival. They tell us that Wild Bill came to New Orleans and he had an Indian with him, and that's why we mask in the city. Because we saw the Wild Bill show and he had Geronimo with him. That's why we mask. Not because that the Europeans came down and started a city right where we did our first fruits, right where we did our green corn festivals, following the Most High as the northern tribes. And then the southern tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi was brought through the transatlantic slave trade. And when they broke from these French that started the city and they ran to the Maroons, to the other Indians that were there that were already accustomed to following the same traditions and laws. Wow, Ashley said she just learned about this 2 weeks ago in her class. All praises that we learning with the young ones now. You think we young because we learning like with the young ones, right? So my back don't hurt right now, right? Anyway, so when we understand that the Levitical law is what we have been doing as a people before this United States law, before this new world order law that's going to be put in. And we need to go back to our law. Our law. Who we are as a people. Now, you know, a lot of people that mask in this community, they're really into the, you know, African diaspora aspect, right? The story that was given to us by Melville Horowitz that we talked about on this show that gave us the out of Africa theory. But look, I'm not saying that Africans and Moors weren't here. They were absolutely here and they had tribes too. But when you look at our tribes that was right here in Louisiana, when you look at the tribes that was right here in New Orleans, they were following the laws, statutes, and feast days of the scripture of Hebrews. I ain't got nothing against nobody that wants to be whatever they want to be. I'm just here when you want to come back to who we were supposed to be. We're just giving the information in case you want to find out where home is. If you want to know where the foundation is, where the honeycomb hideout is, where headquarters is. We're just here saying we got the light still on for you. And we want you to come back. Ain't no banging on each other. This is love. This is us going through this information to show that this is not an accident who we are. It's not going to be an accident when we stand up in this hour. When the Most High says that the world will be astonished at who I loved. The world thinks that New Orleans is dumb. The world thinks New Orleans is stupid. The world thinks New Orleans is backwards. The world thinks New Orleans is nothing but murderers. The world thinks that New Orleans is nothing, that no good thing can come from it. But a good time, revelry, iniquity, and sex. That's all they think can come from New Orleans. So they're going to be astonished when they see the remnant stand up there. They're going to be astonished when they see that the Most High's truth reigns still in the midst of the deepest of abyss of iniquities. That our practices of processions is the Jericho march around when we got our kingdom and when the walls fell down and we got our promised land. And it will be again. Yeah, Alfred, a lot of them forget about the truth and they get mad when others bring it up. But we expect that in this hour. We expect to be stabbed in the back. We expect to be ridiculed. We expect to be talked bad about. We expect to be told that we are putting people into an occult. We give a salute and rejoice in all of it because that means that we are walking the same path as our salvation did. Same path as our salvation did. You can show somebody in New Orleans this very information. And Europeans soon began to enslave the Africans into the area as unpaid laborers. Many stripped of their self-respect and identity and separated from their families. The Choctaw people had long before left the area and are thought to have settled in Homer. So your Choctaw is your Homer Indians, right? The old portage sign is the historical marker on Moss Street, marks where goods were unloaded from the bayou and carried along the overland portage to the river. Then they come and they give us this voodoo crap, right? So after we know about the Green Corn Festival, now they tell us the taste of voodoo in New Orleans. The first noted voodoo queen of the area was thought to be Sanate Dede. Those who presided over the voodoo ceremonies were always free women of color. So now we understand that before these Europeans came, we were doing our ceremonies. After the Europeans came, they say that we did voodoo and did all of these rituals. Well, when you understand the Haitian culture, and you understand that the original word was hoodoo, and that the voodoo came from the Europeans, and that what the Haitians were doing was taught to us in our Hebrew communities of roots. They call voodoo the mixing of roots and healing. Well, if you know what can heal you, you also know what can kill you. I'm going to say that again. If you know what heals you, then you know what can kill you. So when you saw these people saving these Europeans as they were coming through here with their roots and their remedies, these Caucasians had no idea what they were viewing. So when we speak in our language and praying, as I told you, as we are in our offering, we see that we pray and we clean our foods, and we pray as we're cleaning our foods. And we do it in our own language. Then these Caucasians think that we are speaking in tongues and we are uttering rituals. You know, in this hour, there is no law. Leaders are assassinating their people. They're getting ready for a world war. I don't know why it is that. As these countries and these nations are turning over their law or turning over their authority to the UN for these giant collaboratives for economics, which we showed you in the first video between Israel and the UAE, meaning Dubai and Israel are now opening commerce to work with each other. We showed you that the UN put sanctions against Israel about making their Temple Mount and saying that it is rightfully the Muslims' territory. You have sanctions going against Israel, but Israel is bombing Iran. America is going to go to Israel's defense. That's going to put us in martial law, in state of emergency. That state of emergency could quite quickly take us to the Noahide laws or the Abrahamic laws. And all those are demonic laws. The Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, the Ashkenazis are the same spiritual government of Israel that is doing all the bombing as we speak. So we're going to have to be clear on what laws we need to teach our children, what laws we need to pass down onto our people, and we need to be able to tell our people, we need to be able to show them, like I showed you tonight, by our culture, this is who we are. By our culture, we've been written in the book. You know how powerful that is for our community to know that we've been written in the book? Yeah, and Trump continues as your president. Yes, Chanel. And we know Trump likes that. You know, we know that that's conducive to the present administration, including Pompeo, right? But we can't control none of those things. We don't have no guns. We don't have nothing to combat these things, and we don't have to. The Father says that if you are praying unto me, you are following these laws, statutes, and commandments, that I will give you grace and mercy in this time, that I will cover you. That's what the covenant is for. So as we go on to our Psalm 78, and it reads, give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. He said, my brother said, we got guns. Yes. We don't have these sonic guns that they may have. We don't have certain nuclear bombs and atomic bombs that these boys have, but we can hold down the homestead. That's right. But here it says that to know the laws of the Most High so that we can have that covering, that our bullets hit our intended targets, and that it does the intent in which we need, and that is to bring peace into our homes, right? And the safety to our family. And here, Yasha is saying, I will open my mouth in a parable. When he came here, a lot of people use that as a thing against the Bible and say, the Bible ain't nothing but parables. Well, we understand human nature and humankind. And if you tell them directly that they're messing up, they don't want to hear nothing. So Yasha gives you a parable. He says, well, you know, not you, but there's a guy around the corner that's kind of going through something that you might be able to connect with. I don't know, I'm not in your business, but you might be able to connect to this guy that's all up in sin, that can't get his mind right, that's hiding himself. But you know, so that's what he means by he speaks in parables. And it says, I will utter dark sayings of old, meaning he's going to quote the prophets of old because he said he came to fulfill. Hey, Shannon, I see you in the building. He came to fulfill the law, not to do away with. And it says, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from our children, showing to the generations and sowing, like we do in our community, sowing to the generations to come the praises of the Most High and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. Everybody says, well, what have you done for me lately? Well, the Most High has done many things if we read, and he's still doing them if we acknowledge him. For he established his testimony in Jacob. We are Jacob. We are Jacob. When you go to the history of Louisiana, and I ask any of you to do this, go to the history of Louisiana and go to the French history specifically, go to the French history of Louisiana and Google in who were the preferred slaves that were brought here by the French. And they would tell you that they preferred the tribe of Wayuda. That would be the tribe of Jacob. Okay? And it says, and appointed a law in Israel, Yasharale, that's Ephraim, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children. So the Most High is continually and over telling us that he's waiting on us. We need to not be on our knees saying, when you coming? Because he's already stated when he was coming. His prophecies have already clearly told you, wait for the two witnesses. When you see the two witnesses get killed in the street, then you'll know that I am fast coming after that. A lot of people haven't read that or don't want to acknowledge that the two witnesses are going to come to this earth and bring war and wage war against the Antichrist, and they will speak fire out of their mouths. This has been prophesied. So then if that is how we know when he's coming, then the laws and the statutes that we keep, that he's laid for us, that we give unto our children, that gives us our grace, mercy, and covering as these nations are being brought down by his hand, as it states in Jeremiah chapter 30. It's called Jacob's troubles. So here it says in 5, for he established a testimony in Jacob. And in Jeremiah chapter 30, it is the beginning of Jacob's woes, the testimony, because we are his testimony. And as I said, get off your knees asking him to come. He's waiting for you to walk like him. He's not asking you to be on your knees. He's asking you to walk like him. The Paleo Hebrew word is gamel. Gimmel. It means to walk. It means foot. It's shaped like a foot. The Paleo Hebrew word gamel means to walk in his laws, statutes, and commandments so that we can be his testimony. Your covering, your grace, your mercy, everything you need is there. All you have to do is make your step in altering your life to make it reflect these 10 commandments. And it says that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in the Most High and not forget the works of the Most High, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright. So the Most High gives us the grace and mercy to set our heart right. Many of you are upset that you have free will. Many of you are upset that you have to make yourself disciplined. Many of you can't discipline yourself. Some of us get wives, get husbands, get counterparts to be our discipline, to offset our deficiencies. Actually, that's what the Most High wants you to do. He says, because the man and the woman is a unit. She's supposed to be your strength and you're supposed to be her strength. But well, you both are weak. Right, Shannon? I give shouts out to y'all doing y'all thing with the coffee shop and the insurance. Go ahead, Harry. You know what I'm talking about? So as we are sitting here, we're understanding that the Most High says, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation. If we can turn back to the Most High and be righteous, turn away these fables of Catholicism, turn away these fables of Judaism, and read the book for ourselves. We are intelligent beings. We are His. We read these and they will resonate with us if we want them to resonate with us. We hold the scepter. We hold the kingdom. The Most High is waiting on us. It is not the other way around. The children of Ephraim being armed and carrying bows. There go my brother right there, Scott. Turned back in the day of the battle. They kept not the covenant of the Most High and refused to walk in His laws. So, as we talking about Yasharale, the northern tribes, the children of Ephraim being armed and carried bows, turned back. So they was armed and still couldn't do nothing because they knew that they did not keep the covenant of the Most High. So again, I'm doubling down on the fact of your guns, your bunkers, your get out of jail free card, all of those, none of them things work without this covenant. None of them things work without the key. And the key is the commandments, these laws, statutes, and commandments, man. Knowing them. That's why we're going to walk through Leviticus. We ain't going to run through Leviticus. This is our salvation. This is the only way we can self-check ourselves. Like my sister is teaching my nephew, right? And she's teaching him, she's in the process of homeschooling him and teaching him how to self-check himself. That's what we call discipline as adults. Self-checking yourself. Making amends and apologies when you know you've done wrong. When you've spoken too much. When you've done too much. Acknowledging that, giving it to the Most High. Right? In this hour, we are sowing seeds by following the Ten Commandments. We are sowing seeds by learning His statutes. And it says, and forgot His works and His wonders that He had showed them. Marvelous things did He in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through. And He made the waters to stand as a heap, solid, so they could walk past. And in the daytime also He led them with a cloud, and in the night with the light of fire, as we read. He clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as out of the great depths, like pure water. The Most High gave them pure waters. The Paleo-Hebrew word for that is mem. It's the signal, it looks like waters. So they gave them mem. Mem is known as prime waters, pure waters. Verse 17, and they sinned yet more against Him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. And they tempted the Most High in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against the Most High. They said, can the Most High furnish a table in the wilderness? But He smote the rock, that the waters gashed out, and the streams overflowed. Can He give bread also? Can He provide flesh for His people? Therefore the Most High heard this and was wroth. He said, Most High said, I've done all these things. I've brought you out of Egypt. I've turned the waters and made it dry for you to walk. I brought you on my wings to me. I've given you Moses. I've given you instruction. I've fed you manna, the food of the angels. And yet, you were not satisfied. Yet, you continue to question, can I save you in the time of your need? You continue to not believe that I can save you in this time. You continue to check your news, not to see what's happening and what move you need to make, but to see if they came up with an answer for this problem. You're looking and you're talking to other people, hoping that your pastor or your priest came up with some kind of idea, something on how to make it through this, or maybe they got a bunker, or maybe they got a plane, maybe they got something. The Most High is saying, I've given it to you. You have the key. But you think because I made it not grievous, that it doesn't seem big enough to save you. It doesn't seem like your words and following these words is big enough to save you, to give you refuge, to stop the big bad boogeyman from knocking on your door. It says, ye of little faith. I'm going to tell you like this. I'm going to give it to you from a real thuggish perspective. If none of these words work and nothing matters, right? And you done put all of your faith, your prayers, your follow the 10 Commandments, you got everybody around you in line, and they show up at your door. And you feel like, see, I did all this for nothing. And right here, right now, they at me. Well, you got two choices there. You can either remember what you read and know that if your life is taken in that moment, if you stand up and your life is taken in that moment, that you're a saint. Not by man's omission, but by the Creator's designation. That you are with the saints that are waiting to be avenged. That's one side of it. The other side, that same coin of being avenged, that if you are killed in that moment, that you are a martyr and an example to others, and that the Most High will bring you back because you died in His name for His righteousness. So you will come back and your judgment is already done. Now, truly the other side of that coin, because I gave you two on one side, the other side of that coin is, if you get to blasting and murking and saying, I'm not going out, then you being righteous all this time, you didn't lose anything, right? You're not a punk because you're still going out in your so-called blaze of glory. So what my point is that no matter how you look at the road, if you want to be righteous, if you want righteousness in it, follow these 10 commandments, knowing right from wrong, that even if they come at your door and you feel like your prayers and what you pray for, that they never come across your door, they never even see you, that you're invisible, but yet that prayer isn't answered for you. And the Most High wants you to be an example. And that comes. Well, guess what? You're in your rights at that moment. So even if you do let off that frustration, you're still in your rights. You're still in good shape with Him. You still did righteous by Him. And if you're just one of those cats that just want to go out and murking and killing and doing those things, well, there's going to be many opportunities for that because that is what is coming. It's going to be many on the street. There's going to be many, many people on the street getting it how they live. And they'll be waiting for you to see if you are as about it as you say you are. Yeah, because they may take your guns from you. And it reads, therefore the Most High heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in the Most High and trusted not in His salvation. though he had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon the earth, and had given them the corn of heaven. Whoa. We just talked about the green corn and indigenous, and here in Psalms, Most High related the manna that he gave us, which was angel food, was the corn of heaven, meaning it was indigenous to heaven, just like corn is indigenous to the Americas and not the Eastern Hemisphere. I guess that's why when the Europeans came here and saw us celebrating it, they didn't know what we were doing. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heavens, and by his power he brought in the south wind. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as in sand of the sea. And he let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitations. So they did eat, and were filled, and were well filled. And he gave them their own desires. That's what we have to realize happens to us when we fall. We have turned away from the Most High and decided to do what we wanted to do. So therefore, he gave us to our own lust. He says, and he said, yeah, and for he gave them their own desires. They were not estranged from their lust. Now they were like this with their lust, intertwined. But while their meat was yet in their mouths, the wrath of the Most High came upon them and slew the fattest of them and smote down the chosen men of Yasharale. That's right, the chosen men of Yasharale were taken down because they had not patience nor belief in the Most High. Therefore, their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. So when he slew them, then they sought him. They returned and inquired early after the Most High. After the Most High did what he did to them, then they turned and said, I think I can follow. And they remembered that the Most High was their rock and the high of their Redeemer, the Most High of their Redeemer. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouths, and they lied unto him with their tongues. Oh, so they say, oh, Most High, I love me some God, I love my Jesus. But their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. The Most High says it comes down to my covenant, if you're following or you're not. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yea, many a time turned his anger away and did not stir up all his wrath. For he remembered that we were but flesh, a wind that passeth away and cometh not again. So the Most High said, yeah, I done got real mad with y'all. Then I realized that y'all are but fleeting, that y'all are not worth it, that I control everything, and that, hey, either you can follow me, or you can choose death. How oft did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieve him in the desert? Yea, they turned back and tempted the Most High and limited the Holy One of Yasharale. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy. How he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan, and had turned their rivers into blood and their floods, and they that could not drink. He sent diverse sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them. He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to the hot thunderbolts. Ooh. He cast upon the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble by sending evil angels among them. That's right, evil angels, one that does not have our best interest in mind. He made a way for his anger, He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence, and smote all the firstborn of Egypt, the chief of their strength in their tabernacle of Ham, but made his own people to go forth like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. And he held them on safely, so that they feared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies. And he brought them to the border of the sanctuary, even to this mountain, which his right hand had purchased. Ooh, even to this mountain, which his right hand had purchased. We're talking about Yasha, the salvation, his right hand. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading from chapter 78. I'm reading from Psalms chapter 78. He cast out the heathen also before them, and divided them in inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Yasharale to dwell in their tents. So he cast out the heathen also. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High, and kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places, and moved him to jealousy, to zealousness, because our Most High is not jealous, to zealousness with their graven images. And the Most High heard this, and he was wroth, and greatly abhorred Yasharale, so that he forsook the tabernacle of Shaul, and the tabernacle of Shaul, the tent which he placed amongst men. It's still showing Levi. Oh, hold on, y'all. Let me see what happened right here. Hold on. Uh-oh. Thank you, Ashley. This is Psalm 78. And as you see here, was at 43. We went past that to the sycamore. Give everybody a chance to catch up. And he cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, the wrath of indignation and trouble by sending evil angels among them. Psalm 78, verse 49, which is very important, right? And as we drop down further, it says, and he brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to this mountain, which his right hand had purchased, Yasha, the salvation. Chapter 78, verse 55 says, you were lost for a minute. He cast out the heathen also before them, and divided them in inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Yasharale to dwell in their tents. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High, and kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like the deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with the high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. And the Most High heard this, and was wroth, and greatly abhorred Yasharale, so that he forsook the tabernacle of Shaul, the tent which he placed amongst men, and delivered his strength into captivity, and his glory into the enemy's hands. So no, these Europeans didn't do anything to us. That's why we don't need them to save us, and we don't need the Most High to save us. We need to go back to his laws and statutes, because he said that we forsook his tabernacle, that we forsook his laws and created and followed these graven images. Verse 63. Verse 62. He gave his people all over also to the sword and was wroth with his inheritance. So we're killed in the streets. Yes, to this day. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Alton Sterling, Trayvon Martin, and so many more. We've been given over to the sword. And more of us are going to die to the sword. To be an example, to push us, to get us to know that the only way that we're going to get salvation is not going to be through the laws. You picketed. Y'all went up and you tore down the stores. What did you get? You got a president that said that Black Lives Matters is important. And how is he going to show his appreciation to Black Lives Matters uphill? He's going to put LGBTQ in his cabinet. That he's going to make sure that the gay community gets their just due by the laws of transhumanists and the gay agenda. You're nowhere in there unless you're black and homosexual. Then you check all the boxes and you're Gucci. Looting got us nothing. The picket line got you nothing. The voting got you nothing. When you going to try this prayer? When are you going to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments? Because when you follow the laws of this land, which the people that make the laws, your president doesn't even follow taxes, doesn't file taxes, and everybody thinks that that's ingenious. So the law of the land is how to get around the law. That's what they think is genius. They wrote the laws to get around them. They only wrote the laws for us to be subjected to them. The law is their tool. It is our yoke. He delivered us into this. He delivered his strength into captivity and his glory into the enemy's hands. He gave his people over also unto the sword and was wroth with his inheritance. The fire consumed their young men, and their maidens were not given to marriage because they're in the clubs. Or we getting divorced because we don't know structure. The priests fell by the sword, and their widows made no lamentations. So the brothers getting killed in the street, the women bury them, take the money, get the insurance, and move on. We know this is a very common thing in our community. Then the Most High awake as one of the sleep. Then the Most High awaked as one out of sleep, and like a mighty man that shouted by reason of wine. And he smote his enemies in their hinder parts. He put them to a perpetual reproach. Whoa. So what the Most High is going to do to our oppressors, we can't do. We can shoot them once, kill them once. We can make them a slave for a short amount of time. We can land base them. We can make them poor, but that's not perpetual. The Most High says, I'm going to give them a perpetual reproach. 40:67, it says, moreover, he refused the tabernacle of Joseph and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Judah, the mount of Zion, which he loved. We are Judah. And he built his sanctuary like high places, like the earth which he had established forever. He chose David also his servant and took him from the sheepfolds. Ooh, so David, as we know, which is our king forever, was taken from being a sheep herder at the age of 13. From following the ewes, great with young, he brought him to feed Jacob his people and Yasharale his inheritance. So he fed them according to the integrity of his heart and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. All that states that our King David pronounced in our vernacular and in the Paleo Hebrew, Dawid, not David. Just like Elijah was Elihu, Isaiah, the same, right? So we're understanding that the Most High works through us when we follow him. We understand that he has brought all of these calamities to us. So the only way that they can be relieved from us, the only way we can break the yoke, is to follow his laws. As we're going through Leviticus, we're understanding that everything to do with his laws has a deeper meaning. It's for our health. It's for our way of thinking. It allows us to keep our pineal gland open to receive the messages. When I showed you the example of the priest covering the eyes of the sacrifice, they didn't cover the eye, they covered the pineal gland, the third eye of the animal. If the Most High speaks to the third eye of the animals, and when we're sacrificing it, the Father's asking us to close that third eye so that that animal will know not what is being done unto him. You think he does not use your pineal gland, your third eye, to meet and speak with you? If you're using fluoride toothpaste, you're calcifying, that means you're hardening your pineal gland. It should be a gland, soft, fatty tissue. It is the third eye that they have repositioned in Ra and in the whole Amun Ra thing that they do with Egypt. The third eye is a real thing, scientifically proven. When you pray, it's also scientifically proven that it lights up, that your frontal lobes begin to light up. Scientifically, it proves that our prayers are doing something supernatural to our body. It's proven. These scriptures have proven that no one is greater than us because we are the inheritance of the Most High. We are Jacob. We are his children. He also said he put us in this situation. So all we have to do is go back to our original covenant. Read Leviticus on your own. We're going to go through the whole series. This is chapters 1 and 2 tonight. And on Wednesday night, we're going to get through 3 and 4. And we're going to walk down Leviticus. We're going to understand the intricacies. We're going to understand why we don't need the blood. We're going to understand why we make the sacrifices the way we did. We're going to understand why we can every day do our sacrifices by choosing the proper foods and discipline for our bodies. And when we pray unto the Most High, we pray that he accepts that into our temple as an offering unto him. That is what I do. That is the mindset that we are in. Our body is his temple. So whatever I put in it, I'm offering unto him. So I want to use the finest oils. I want to use the best flour. I want to use the best cut meats. I want to eat as much vegetables as I can possibly eat because that grows out of his green earth. So I pray you guys got a grasp of Leviticus. And like I said, we will continue on Wednesday night. Thank y'all for being in tonight. I pray that all your homes are covered by the Most High and that all of you have an eye to see and an ear to hear and have the messianic in you to pass it along and then give it to your friends, family, and loved ones so that they may have salvation in this hour as well, so that they may be covered in this hour as well. With that said, we will, let me go here. Burning and looting, huh? Let me see if I could pull that up right quick. Burning and looting. Oh, no, actually what we're going to do tonight is not end off with that. We're going to end off with the shofar, which I should have played in the beginning. Because we're going to have We need to understand that the shofar is calling our assembly together. And that's how we're going to end tonight. Giving praise unto the Most High and blowing his shofar.
Praise.